Hey everybody, this is Gaynor Meilke with Accounting Ignited and Charisma Inc. And this is Moving the Needle, which is digital transformation for the accounting profession. And today we're really excited to have Holly McKinney from GruntWorx with us. And of course, John, you're here with me too. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Gaynor. How are you today?
Good, good from
Good.
sunny Michigan.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to our conversation with Holly. It's been a while since I've been up to date on GruntWorks, so I'd be very interested to see and hear what Holly has to say about all the good things that GruntWorks is working on.
Yeah, welcome, Holly.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So where are you located? Where are you?
Yeah, so I'm in Franklin, North Carolina. That's where one of our offices are here. GruntWorks is all on the East Coast, but I'm nestled right in the mountains of the Smoky Mountains here in North
Oh,
Carolina.
beautiful.
Oh,
Okay.
that sounds nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So, although GruntWorks has an office there, you really are helping firms all over the country. And
Yes.
you've been doing that at GruntWorks for what, 20 years plus?
Yeah. So GruntWorks started in New Hampshire, and that's still where our home office is. And started out in 2005 helping businesses with document organization and then helping them actually get data entry
Mm,
automated. And so rather than hiring seasonal staff, they use GruntWorks to manage document organization and help. We really helped a lot of firms go paperless when that was the
mm,
hot topic in the early 2000s, right? And so that was really the initial push. And then we've really fine-tuned everything to advanced automation and getting that data entry done in the top tax softwares.
yeah. So I'm sure that during your time at GruntWorks, I mean, you've been there how many years? But
Yeah, so full time since 2018.
okay. So, in the 8 years that you've been there, I mean, you've probably seen a lot of transformation of what GruntWorks is doing, but also for firms. So, tell us a little bit for people who don't know what GruntWorks does. I mean, automation can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. So,
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
true.
what's what are you doing with what type of firms and what are some of the kind of success stories that you have?
Yeah, absolutely. So, where we really are helping firms the most is when they have a lot of bottlenecks up front. They're doing a lot
Mm,
of manual organization. They are, getting everything scanned in, or some firms still, are using those paper documents and not getting
mm,
them digitized. So, what we do is any size firm, and we have firms that are sole proprietors to firms that are processing, 6,000 returns a year through GruntWorks. And so what you do is you upload those documents to GruntWorks in any order. They don't need to have divider sheets. They don't need to be in any particular format. Submit those to GruntWorks. We are going to organize those into the order of a 1040. So you're able to use the output bookmarked PDF and use it to complete the return. So everything's in a nice standardized format. So you now have consistent digital work papers for every single client. And as soon as you're getting that consistency, you are immediately improving your efficiencies. That takes out the guesswork. And then the second piece that we're doing is we're actually doing data entry for those federal forms. So W-2s, 1099s, brokerage statements, W-2Gs, all these forms that take time to really get that data into the tax return. And what it's allowed firms to do is the people that are using GruntWorks don't necessarily need to have that tax knowledge, right? So you're able to pass this work down the pay scale. And so users that have maybe never, opened a tax return are now able to actually do the data entry step. So really, we've seen a lot of firms move to that kind of workflow format where they're keeping their preparers time focused on the more complex parts of the return and they've definitely been able to scale their business that way.
So, Holly, I was mentioning before we got on the recording here that I did a webinar with GruntWorks, and I can't remember exactly when, but it had to be the early 2000s, mid 2000s. And so, back then you guys were way ahead of the marketplace, right? Now, 20 years later, people are starting to obviously catch up a little bit with AI. So it's good to see the success you've had over the years. So a question I have for you, all the rage these days is agentic AI agents. Are you guys looking into that, or have you done anything with that as far as using agents to enter the data into the tax software rather than outsourcing it?
Right. Yeah. So yeah, currently what we use is the OCR. And you're absolutely right. A lot of businesses are now moving to just strictly AI. And we have been looking at, we have a AI-enhanced OCR that we're using, but we are looking at using AI to, first of all, just increase the accuracy of what we're using, but also be able to incorporate more documents that we can support. Because here's the thing, we are validating this data that we're getting back to you. So by the time it comes back to the end user, the preparer, it has been reviewed twice. It's gone through the OCR and business intelligence, and then it's gone through a human verification level, and that's staff that we hire and train. So they're making a lot of edits because, AI and OCR is never going to be 100%, but it gets pretty darn close. And so what incorporating agentic AI would do for us is it would reduce the amount of errors that would occur, and we could also add more forms without necessarily having to have trained staff in the
Yeah.
tax business reviewing the data.
Mm. So what types of firms typically come to you, to get started with this? Because I know just from my experience with GruntWorx, there's a lot of smaller firms that will use GruntWorx to scale, but then there's also like the enterprise level firms that are using GruntWorx to free up, lower level staff so that they can do the final review, and the partners or the higher level employees can then go and do the advisory work. So
Exactly. Exactly. That's the big piece, right? We want to, a lot of firms are wanting to move to advisory and wealth management and offer these other, CAS services. And in order to do that, we've got to take some of that work off their plates so that they have the time and, clear minds to be able to do this work. And so with removing those tedious tasks of data entry and being able to just give time back in the day, we're really enabling any size firm ultimately to begin exploring tax resolution, advisory services, and all these other things. And you're absolutely right. It is, small to mid firms. We have a lot of those that use GruntWorx, and that is because, we don't have minimums. We're open for everyone to use, which is great. But then we do have those enterprise firms. They have their 1040 departments using GruntWorx so that they are pushing out returns at lightning speed and then able to still focus on those other portions.
So Holly, in the early days of this whole, paperless tax prep, there was always the conversation: do we front end scan at the beginning of the process, or do we back end scan at the end? Now, I'm hoping you're going to tell me that virtually everyone's doing the front end scanning now. Is that
Yeah.
what you're finding? Especially when you have GruntWorx, I guess that would be, one of the big reasons to get it, to do the return paperless. But what percentage, would you say, are still doing it a paper-based source document return prep?
Yeah, so we still see firms coming to us that are saying, we're still a paper office. We're trying to
Right.
go paperless, and it's fewer and fewer every year. But I'd say
Right.
about, it's not a lot. Maybe 10% of the firms that we see are still struggling to get to that paperless state.
Okay.
However, with the GruntWorx process, you do have to scan on the front end, because
Yeah.
those documents have to be digital to get them to GruntWorx. But also, what a lot of firms are doing is they're implementing the portals, right? We're trying to
Mhm.
get our clients now to move to the digital age, not just the accountants. So,
Right.
yeah, that's been a big piece.
Well, 10% is a good number. Then I'm glad to hear that. I
Yeah,
was afraid you were going to say 40,
40,
50%.
yeah, it's not too bad, no.
Yeah.
and this year you've also introduced the K1s, so you can do that as well.
Yes, exactly. So, with GruntWorx Populate, we can support the first page of the K1, but really all of that other data is not something that our staff is trained to, extract and validate.
Hmm.
And so we've partnered with K1X for a program called K1 Advanced. It handles the entire K1 package for you. It will aggregate and analyze this data. It does populate into some of the supported tax softwares, but for the ones that it doesn't populate into, you're still getting a streamlined K1 preparation process. And
Hmm.
so, really excited about K1 Advanced. We're starting to see more and more folks getting into it because now is the K1 time of year, right?
Hmm.
And so, yeah, we're excited about K1 Advanced.
And just to clarify, so the K1 process, it doesn't matter if I get my K1 as a PDF file, right? Because it's mostly how we're getting them. You
Right.
don't have
Yeah.
to.
And actually, you can even upload, excuse me, Excel files into that K1 Advanced platform, even though
Okay.
that's the output you're going to get. If that is how you're receiving it from your client, you can upload PDFs, JPEG, whatever. I don't know how many JPEGs there'd be, but Excel files, PDFs, or you can scan that document in, all of
Yeah.
the statements and unstructured data and scan that into a PDF, upload it into the platform, and they use strictly AI. And I mean, it takes minutes, if that,
Yeah.
to get all that data analyzed. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Incredible.
think
it
one
is.
of the other things, maybe you can touch on this, is that, even though like right now when we're recording, we're just coming out of tax season,
Mhm.
if somebody is not already using GruntWorks and automating, like now is the time to start putting a plan in place. So you could even start with your extensions,
Absolutely.
and
And
get
honestly,
started.
that's a best practice for people getting started. You don't want to
Mhm.
start in January or February and say, oh, yeah, I need help. Or, maybe a system didn't work out or whatever it was.
Mhm.
This time right now is we're here to help you get that, get your first returns going, figure out that workflow and any changes that need to be made and structured so that by
Mhm.
the time that busy season comes back around, it is a smooth running machine. And
Mhm.
so we're always encouraging folks, as you're reviewing your tax season and how things went, this is the time to jump in and try, try out GruntWorks.
And what does that process look like? So, because for a lot of firms, it's like, oh, sounds like a good idea, but then how do you actually get started with GruntWorks?
Yeah, absolutely. So we offer a free trial. So it's actually no strings attached. A lot of free trials, you do have to enter in like your credit card information and then cancel it after 7 or 14 days. Not
Mhm.
with GruntWorks. You
Oh,
sign up for
nice.
GruntWorks and it is there for you. You only put in your firm information, your email address, and we actually will put returns in your account so that you can try it at no cost to you. So
Cool.
some people like to try it on live clients, and some people prefer to do test cases. In the test case situation, we have testing documents for you. So then you would just create that client in your tax software, and you could see how that whole process takes place. So it's really easy to get started. You don't have to download a bunch of platforms or programs onto your computer. And yeah, we're here to help you get started with that.
Holly, I don't know if you guys have ever thought about this going down this path, or maybe you already have, but so I'm a CPA, but I don't do taxes. I have a small practitioner does my taxes. And for me, the pain in the neck is always getting my stuff together, right? I'm like
Mhm.
every client. I hate it. Always go on extension every year. I think it'd be great if you had like an application that as an end user I could use to get the things in order to just hand off to the tax practitioner. You ever thought about that? Or you guys consider
Yeah,
that?
so what we do in that sense is, we're partnering with a lot of those platforms that do that. So like your
Mhm.
Mhm.
Liceos, your Smart Vaults, Taxstone, things like that.
Mhm.
And those platforms do send out those reminders to the actual taxpayer, right? And say, hey, we need these documents. Here's what you had last year, and
Yeah.
send out automated reminders. And so with the integrations we're building out, you'll then be able to have those platforms manage the client communications and collection, and then instantly import that data into the GruntWorks interface so that it is a
Yeah.
smooth
Okay.
transition there. Mhm.
Yeah. I think there's a market opportunity though, just from my
Yeah,
perspective, because I don't know what my tax practitioner uses. I
right.
think he's kind of old school, so he's not going to get to the point you're talking about, probably.
Better bring him up to speed, John. Come on.
Yeah,
Let's get him on
exactly.
the phone.
But it'd be nice if I had a tool that I could just go right to like GruntWorks and say, okay, for whatever, 25
Yeah,
bucks, I could log in, help me organize my documents and shoot it off.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And speaking of all of these partnerships that you run with pretty much any tax software, it seems
Yeah,
like.
you can use our organize option with any tax software. So if you're using one of the systems we don't support, you can still get that digital work paper and use us for even 8949 extraction and population. The tax softwares that you are going to get data entry on is going to be UltraTax, Lacert, Drake, Pro Series. Oh, I don't want to forget any CCH Access, Pro System FX.
Mm-hmm.
So, the main ones, but
All the
there's,
players.
we have a lot of ATX customers that come in and use us just for that organization piece. And, it helps them get their office organized. It's that first step in the return life cycle to make sure every return is consistently worked and reviewed.
Wow. Sounds like a dream for
I
a
tell you.
overworked tax firm, to be honest. And I know, we've worked with firms that use GruntWorks, and it's once they find out about you, they're like, "Wow, this was great. Why didn't I know about this sooner?"
I
Yeah.
know, and
Uh,
it's funny, we've been in business since 2005, and so we've been around for a long time. And it's so funny that there are so many people that don't know about it. And
mhm.
yeah, we've made a lot of progress in this area. We've really perfected our output, and so
Yeah,
really excited for what's to come.
yeah,
Well, and I think
definitely.
with so many products being, coming on online over the last couple of years, you have a real advantage there with that market history. I mean, because that's one of the
Exactly.
Yeah,
concerns is people are coming out so fast with things that, well, but has it been tested in the marketplace yet? And you've been around
Yeah,
over 20 years now, so
yeah.
that's a real
exactly.
And
advantage.
Yeah.
And there's a team there as well. As you mentioned, it's onshore, not offshore, even though, it's it's the people, right, that make anything successful. And I think that you guys definitely have got the market cornered on that as well. So
Yeah.
kudos to you. And you guys will be at a lot of trade shows. I know you'll be at NATP, Scaling, Engage. So if somebody wants to come and meet somebody from GruntWorks in person, they can. But if you're not going to a conference, how do we get started with GruntWorks?
Yeah, so if you just go out to gruntworks.com, you're going to have access to that free trial, to all of our resources there. There's case studies available if you want to, hear from a peer how it worked for them. And yeah, we're here, we're available, and we're ready to help get you started.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Holly.
Thank you for
It was good
having me.
catching up with GruntWorks and everything that you're doing. And John, did you have any other questions?
Well, just keep up the good work. I mean, you've got a good track record, so I appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today, Holly.
Thank you
Yeah.
for having me. It's been a
All right.
pleasure.
All right.
You
Well,
bet.
thank you, everybody, and we will see you next time.